Rick, we're live.
Are we live?
Yeah. Count us in.
Wow. Howdy, folks. This is Shane.
My name's Rick.
And I'm Ryan.
Oh, so you're the only one who hasn't changed identities. That's good.
That's good.
So we've got a few people here already. We've got DMS Productions. Avohe's here. Hey. I think that's how you pronounce that. I apologize if it's not. Jamal, welcome, man.
Jamal
the man.
Oh,
Hopefully he's bought that new. He had his eyes on. Someone's got their.
Sorry, that's me.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's rookie error.
That's all right. I did that last time too. He was going to buy this awesome left-handed flying V, so hopefully he's picked that up. I'm going to encourage that.
very cool.
Oh, someone's got something going on.
It's me.
It's all right. So we've got Ryan Heckart. Morning. Brett, so this is a weird time of the day for live streaming. It's 9 p.m. here, so thanks for joining in. We've got a few people here already, which is great. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. We just got one in already. Phil93 says, what are our thoughts on Greenback versus Alnico Blue in an AC15? Well, I might go first on this one then. Only because I had both the AC30 and the AC15, and I chose the Greenback over the Alnico Blue. I think the Alnico Blue sound a little fatter, but the chimey tone I was going for, kind of the Greenback was the way to go, and they're a little bit lighter as well. So those amps are inherently pretty heavy. What's your thoughts, guys?
Doc, do you want to go first?
No, I'm still collecting my thoughts about this.
Well, I think the Blue is one of my favorite speakers, but the Greenback, I love the Greenback for rock, and the Blue has that classic, box sort of sound. So I guess it's depend. It really depends on what music you play, I think. But if you're after that classic box chime, the Blue, you can't go wrong with the Blue. But I do like Greenback for rock. Like it's just that Greenback sort of tone. I love that. Love that sound.
Cool.
Yeah, I've blown up 3 Alnico Blues in my life. So my concerns are that they're a great sounding speaker, but they're a bit fragile. Having said that, if it's only an AC15, you'd be pretty unlucky to blow it up. But I've never found a speaker I couldn't blow up. The Greenbacks are fairly sort of indestructible meat and potatoes. So if you were, say, using the LC15 as a studio amp, where you went sort of thrashing it, I reckon they're a bit warmer too. The Greenback probably sounds great with a humbucker guitar and sort of rocking out, but it can be a little bit toppy. I had a Greenback in my Morgan amp, and whilst I loved it 90% of the time, it was just a little bit of a top thing that could be a little bit harsh. So the Blue is a beautiful sounding speaker. You just got to make sure you sort of treat it with a bit of care.
Yeah, we actually tried some of the Vox AC30s the other night. One was the hand wired with the Blue speakers, and one was the Greenback, just the regular AC30 C2. And there was I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot of difference in the tone, but definitely the Blue one it sounded different at different volumes. Let's just put it that way. I noticed the difference listening back more so than I noticed in the room. But yeah, that's cool. All right, so we got Lando27 Music. Welcome, man. Did Hardcore for All says, did Ryan swallow his mic, or is there a sock over it?
It's a sock over it.
We were just giving him grief off mic. We were trying to fix his microphone off air. That's why we were late. I've got a mic for him, which I keep forgetting to drop off. Next time I see you, I'll give it to you. Has anyone played any Eastwood guitars? That's from Wolf.
Nope.
You have, Shane.
I have. I thought, is anyone else played any Eastwood guitars? But yeah, look, they're all right. I think they're sort of archtop jazz sort of style guitars are beautiful. I think they look great. We saw some at the Melbourne Guitar Show last year here.
Oh, yeah, we did.
And they were quite beautiful. Like they've got a range of guitars that anything from like a traditional, well, an Epiphone 335 quality all the way through to something a little more kind of nice, well, nicer in terms of visuals anyway. You know, that old handmade look. They've got a few guitars that look like that. I'm not saying they're handmade, but they have that kind of old school vibe. Very natural wood finishes and all that kind of stuff. So they look really, really cool. Mr. Kareem, welcome, man. That's Mark. He says, looks like a George Benson signature model resting behind Ryan, question mark?
Yeah, it is. It's 1981 George Benson. Okay.
Cool.
Hey, Ryan, your mic sounds better. What did you do?
Sorry?
Your mic sounds better. It sounds clearer, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, because it's the vintage Neve.
Oh, no, it does. It does sound better.
I just took the sock off. That's why.
Oh, I wonder what he was doing. I thought
I should have just told everyone that's just the way he sounds, you know.
I think it should be a rule for our chats. Keep your hands where we can see them.
So is that an Epiphone or a Gibson? What is that?
It's Ibanez.
Ibanez.
Oh, George Benson, of course. I'm thinking of Joe Pass. Sorry. Yeah.
Ibanez, 1981.
Oh, my God.
Comes with a sticker that my daughter put up, which is
Hello Kitty as well.
I think it's like a princess sticker, but it's great. Yeah, it's old, so it's kind of beat up. Sometimes old guitars do this where the binding crumbles.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen this on archtops, and this one's definitely have that, but it just sounds great. Spruce top, mahogany back inside, maple back inside, and maple neck, ebony fretboard. Just a great playing guitar.
Does it buzz?
I used to, my dad had the George Benson album, Give Me the Night.
Oh, yeah.
I used to look at the guitar on that album cover.
Yeah.
And I think I learned the first 3 or 4 songs on that album, and it's just amazing. It stands up to this day. The production is Quincy Jones, and it's awesome. He's one of my favourite players that I can't even begin to emulate because he's...
Oh, yeah. He's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I was watching a video interview that he did, and he was talking about how, you know how he's got a great voice? Yeah. He said because of the career he had to... he said something like he couldn't take guitar as serious as he wanted to. So he said, if I didn't have the career that I have, I could be a better guitar player. And I was like, shut up.
You know, a lot of
shut up, George.
A lot of other musos in those circles call him the Michael Jordan of jazz guitar. You know, like some of the stuff you see is just insanely good.
Insane.
So good. Really great.
Absolutely.
Andreas asks, Shane, are you still using the Joyo preamp pedals? I'm not anymore. I've got a 2 Notes Torpedo Live and a Kemper, so I'm kind of spoiled. But that's not to say that those pedals aren't any good. It's just that, you know, I don't necessarily need them anymore. The last album Rick and I recorded together, we had a whole lot of amps in the cupboard we had them cranked and all that kind of stuff, and we plugged the Joyo American sound in. We went, oh, that's easy. Let's use that. So that was before the 2 Notes and before the Joyo, before the Kemper, I should say. So, they're good little pedals for direct recording, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I answer a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this Lewis Yarrow says, is learning licks the best way to learn how to get up and down the neck of your guitar without sounding too modal? Ooh. I don't know any modes, so I can't be accused of sounding modal. Learning licks the best. Yeah, look, probably. I mean, I guess back when I was learning, we didn't have YouTube. You just had the album, and so you kind of just listened to it and try to work out what was going on. and when you saw the guitarist play it live, it was often something totally different. So I figure that sometimes those of us who learned before the YouTube generation might have had a bit better ear trained and a bit more imagination for how to do it. It mightn't have been the most efficient way of getting around the neck, but if we just listened to it and that's what we heard. But look, I guess I just started out with the pentatonic notes, just those 5 notes, and just worked out all the positions up and down the neck, and then just try to work on how to sort of link them up and all that sort of stuff. So, that would be my take on it, just to learn how the pentatonic can sort of, link up from the first position and work your way all the way up, so that any given spot on the neck, you sort of got a bit of an idea where you can go right in that position and where you could go further up and where you could go further down and that sort of thing. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, we're going to aim to teach Ryan how to get around the fretboard at some point as well, just because he's struggling.
Well, when you're playing open G, it's kind of tricky, isn't it, really? But we'll get there.
So Ryan asked, or he actually says, got myself a gorgeous Made in Mexico Strat off Reverb after listening/watching your stuff. Thanks for doing these sincere reviews. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. So I had a question recently. I don't know what video it was on, but someone asked me how much of a difference in tone is there between. Oh, it might have been a conversation I had with Rick actually. How much of a difference in tone is there between that, $6,000 custom shop 1955 and the Made in Mexico one? Not a lot in terms of tone.
About this much. Sorry, I can't get my this much.
Yeah, it's more about how how the neck feels and all that kind of stuff. The finish on the custom shop obviously feels better. You get that nice fancy case and $5 book in the middle of it in the case as well. But like tone wise, there's not a lot in it, but feel wise, there's a little bit in it. But I gotta say, man, if you like the American Standard Series Strats and Tallies, there's nothing wrong with the Mexican ones. They play just as good. So. Well, that's my experience with it anyway. So I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. That's awesome. Yeah. So Lando27 Music says, give him the what is it? Oh, was it? Chat just scrolled, but the $2 mic that I got, I'm going to give him one that's worth a little bit more than that. But the BM 800, there it is. They're great mics. I've actually got my eye out for. I want to pick up a few more of these off eBay. So I picked up a condenser mic a while back for $2. They sell for around 25 US off Amazon, and they're actually really, really good. But yeah, I scored it first bid $2. I couldn't believe it. I should have bought more.
Jeez.
But yeah. I got sent a couple of others years ago. They're sitting in the cupboard doing nothing. So we'll have you. Although you are sounding much, much better now, we'll have you sorted out next time. So we've got Cheddar Kung Pao is here as well.
Hey,
welcome.
Cheddar.
He's probably the most. I've said this before. I see his comments almost more than anyone else's on YouTube around guitar circles. So welcome, man. He was part of the Toman event that he was helping, I think, kind of organize a lot of the stuff behind the scenes there. All right, here's a question for you guys. What do you think of the Marshall Class 5 amp? I just got one and I'm wondering what you guys think of them.
Class 5.
It's a little 5
is it
watt.
in the Origin series?
Nah, it came out about 7 years ago or something. I think it's like a 5 watt head.
Oh, it would depend. Like, I must admit, I wasn't that impressed with the Marshall with the little speakers. So is it a combo or a head and box?
I don't know. He wasn't specific. I only had a chance to try one through this really small isolated recording cabinet. So I can't really comment on how good or bad it sounded. I have tried one, but it was a long time ago. So I didn't try it under the best circumstances either. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought I'd ask you guys because I'm not too sure about that one.
No, I'm sorry. I haven't played it. So and look, I think these low powered recording amps like your Bugera one, that sounds surprisingly. Is it Bugera or Bugera?
Yeah, Bugera. Yeah, that's funny. That's all right. That's the first time I've heard you mispronounce something.
Oh, really?
Not bad for about knowing you for 15 years. That's all right.
Okay. So do you say vagina? Anyway. But
Vagina.
that amp sounds surprisingly good. So,
Yeah.
you know, again, you just got to, if you can pull your tone out of it, then that's then you're ahead of the game, I reckon.
Yeah. I played one back when I was working in a music store, and it's cool because you can crank it, and it's not super loud. So yeah, they're cool amps.
Cool.
Cool amps.
We've got Phil Smith here as well. Welcome. We've got Andreas. He Kemper is about 1,000 times more expensive than the Joyo pedal. Yep, that would be close to about right.
Yeah, but I think it's more. I think the Kemper is much more sort of inconvenient than the Joyo for the Joyo's main use. Joyo is very good if you're working outside. You've got a whole lot of paper on a desk and it's blowing everywhere. Just get the Joyo and bang, it works a treat.
Gear snobs they're still around, man. No, I mean we actually gigged with one of the Joyo American Sounds. Remember, we plugged straight into the PA with our pedal boards, and it sounded awesome.
That's right. That was at the Deaf Institute. Yeah, that was good. Sorry.
That's all right. No, I'm just reading. I'm reading the comments. Has anyone tried the Wassercraft DM2? Is it the delay?
Oh yeah,
yeah. My mate Neil's got one of them actually. Or our friend.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. They're really good, man. I watched the demo of that. He was looking for a delay, and I just said, take a gamble on it. It sounds awesome, and I reckon it sounds great. I haven't tried it personally, but hearing it live, I think it's pretty cool.
I remember that. I think I remember I've heard him play it at the gig at the Jam.
Oh.
And it's good because when you think you've heard the wrong note once, you hear it about 4 times.
I've actually got the old one, so.
What?
Yeah, I've not heard the new one, so.
Yeah, they're dead silent. There's no no noise or anything.
Because the old ones are pretty. Mine's pretty noisy, so I never use it. So yeah, maybe they fixed that.
Here's something that's coming up recurring in the comments here. So just to close that last topic off, they're good pedals. There's nothing wrong with the DM2s. From what I've heard of them, they're great. Did we talk about the Lightning Boy audio situation yet? Have you guys seen that?
No.
So I'll cover this quickly, and I'm not going to get into it too much. But I got a pedal. Philip McKnight got a pedal from them, and basically he had it for a lot longer than what I have had mine. I think he had it for, I don't know, I think he said like 12 months or something. But he had lots. They kept sending him different and updated versions of it and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think, he had it for a while, he used it and he opened it and all that kind of stuff. And the guy wanted it back. So he, Lightning Boy Audio sent it back had it shipped back to them. And it was missing like a screw underneath it or something like that. And he posted a really awkward rant video on Facebook, and Philip's got 150,000 subscribers. So, he just sort of said, this is the situation. And I've had people all day trolling all the Lightning Boy Audio pedal demos I've done over the years on my channel today. So I just said, look, I don't, it's, that's how the fanboys are with stuff. But it's interesting that, people are commenting on videos Rick and I did like 3 years ago. Saying, the crap company and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, the guy that posted the video on Facebook, it wasn't Phil, obviously. Like, he was the guy getting attacked by this other dude. Probably not the smartest business decision on his behalf. I've had nothing but good dealings with the guy that runs that company. Like, over the years, I think we've got like 2 or 3 of their pedals. The first one that we ever demoed was one of Rick's patients. He had it on loan, I remember. And so that wasn't even sent to us. We just did a video of it because it was there. but yeah, it was an interesting choice to possibly go after one of the largest YouTubers. He's getting 100,000 views a day, right? Which is about twice as much as what I get. So it wasn't the best business decision. So unfortunately, it's I don't know if there's any recovery from it from Lightning Boy Audio's perspective. A lot of people have asked me if I'm going to pull my video or what, and I haven't actually uploaded it. Well, I uploaded it and it was on schedule, but I've locked it off for a while just to see what happens with it, because I don't really want any of that, negatively impacting my channel. Even though I'm not directly involved, I understand that, it's not good for companies to try and belittle, us when we're not even charging for their, for their time or whatever. So I get both sides of it. I actually read a lot of the comments on both sides from Lightning Boy and Phil. And yeah, I've decided to give my video a miss, and I emailed him to say, if you want me to send it back, just let me know. So that's the first time I've declined, obviously, producing videos for companies before. But that's the first time, because of someone else's dealings, I've decided to do what I did and not put the video up. I think it will only lead to drama that I can't be bothered with. And that's part of the reason. Like I sort of sympathize with Phil. He shouldn't have been publicly bashed for that. And, he didn't like the pedal either, but the fact is he had a lot of other pedals, like, tweaks and other versions sent to him and all that kind of stuff. So that pretty much just wasted his time, I think, in the end. But I'm not 100% certain of the whole thing. So I did watch his video. But yeah, look, I don't think Philip would want his subscribers trolling other people's videos, leaving negative comments about the company now. I mean, the guy doesn't make junk, right? All tone stuff's subjective. What I like about Lightning Boy in terms of their design is they're not really like anyone else. They do their own thing, which is pretty rare. But yeah, so it's a mess. It's a mess. That was the biggest thing on YouTube today in the guitar community. So that's all I'm going to say about it.
Well, you know what? I mean, don't people just got to bloody take a cold shower? Look, I reckon, mate, if you made a video and it sounds great, we should put it up there. I mean, we don't have to go out to dinner with Lightning Boy. If he's making good stuff, then I guess your impartiality should be something that just say, well, just pop it up there. If everyone's entitled to have a bad day, he made a lapse, and if he had half a brain, he'd just get on Facebook and say, you know what, that was out of line, and I apologise. But unfortunately,
it wasn't, what he wrote wasn't nice, and he also put a video up kind of bashing him with all these hashtags and stuff. So it could have been just dealt with offline. Yeah, that would have been the best way for them to deal with it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna leave mine on private for as long as it, if he sorts it out and we're good to go, I'll do something. But I just don't. You guys don't probably understand how the guitar community can be. It can be amazing, and it can be just a force of, fanboys or trolls just going after someone because of they subscribe to somebody else. So, that's pretty bad. Look at what happened. Look at what happened with Will from Will's Easy Guitars, right? Because of his stance on the Tonewood thing. People, he was getting death threats, right? So what I've already seen is a lot of comments bad-mouthing Lightning Boy Audio from people who didn't even know about the brand before today, or haven't even heard their stuff, or don't know anything about it. It's just based on that interaction.
But don't you reckon that you're playing into their hands by not uploading it? Like you're saying,
playing into whose hands? Sorry,
all these dopey bloody keyboard warriors and naysayers and trolls and dickheads that say that sort of stuff. Aren't we just saying, you've got a valid point? Yeah, I won't upload this stuff.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean, but I'm looking at it more from, Philip's perspective as well. Like, he's doing them a favor, and to be publicly, he did the video, and to be publicly sort of, bashed by a company who wanted their stuff back at the end was a bit weird. So anyway, let's move on. It's, if anyone wants to watch that video, they can go check it out. I don't like getting involved in that stuff, but it's come up a number of times here. So
Yeah, fair enough. Let's look at another question.
Let's talk about onwards.
Yeah. Let's do that. So we've got our Metal Stage podcasters here. Welcome. It's a cool YouTube channel as well. Been on their podcast a few times, which is good, always good fun. We've got Benjamin. Welcome. Can you buy Tokai at Music Junction Blackburn? I don't know if they've actually got them in there, but the shop that's, I think, the distributor for them in Australia is in Melbourne. It's called Muso City. And that's where I got mine. And my last one I bought from another shop, which is closed down, but they got them from there. So, I don't know about Music Junction. Do you know if they got them in there, Ryan?
I have no idea.
Okay.
They've got Tokai at a place called the Rock Garage in Kew.
I thought that was just a rehearsal room now. I didn't realize they still had a Tokai in there. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
well, that's where I got my last one from in Ferntree Gully. So.
Yeah, well, they've set up in Kew now. They're just off High Street in Kew, and they do most of their sales just online, but they've got a few Tokais in there. I think most of the Tokais they had are Chinese, but I think they might have had one Japanese one. You can tell because they're about 3 times the price.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. They are quite a bit more expensive. I've just fixed your webcam too, Rick. It just disappeared for whatever reason.
Oh.
It's back.
Good.
All right. So if anyone has any questions, let us know. We're just here chatting guitars and whatever else. We've got someone from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Welcome.
Awesome.
Oh, I thought you lived in Ann Arbor. Oh, anyway, I've been to Ann Arbor a whole lot of times. Very cool town, the home of University of Michigan. Isaac, welcome. All right. Let's see if there's. Did I miss any questions while I was fiddling around
I
there?
think there was a question: what's the cheapest guitar that Dr. Rick owns?
That you actually play. That should be part of that question.
Here we go.
I think it's if cheap is worth less than my car, then worth more than my car, then we're in business. It
depends. It's like, are we talking about like a small house or a big house?
So other than your PRS, do you own any non-custom shop guitars, Rick?
I've got a Martin that's made in the factory, but not made by little fairies dancing around and whatnot. But no, all the fenders I have are from the custom shop for reasons that are sort of beyond explanation. I just sort of open the case. You know that case video you just did?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was better than any porn I've ever seen. Like I love those tweed cases, not the least of which because you can sneak them into the house and they look the same as all the other cases. And so you don't get any hassles about what's that? It's just like another tweed case. But I'm the sucker for that experience, opening up, seeing that beautiful plush lining and all that sort of stuff. But look, all the guitars I have, I love the sound of them and the feel of them. I really, really do. And they just, it's a sort of a psychological attachment that I've got to them, and I love them.
Yeah, cool. I mean, they all sound great, and you can play too, which always helps because a great guitar in the wrong hands isn't going to sound any good. So that's 100% true. So we've got Lad Broke Lads. He says, "Good morning from Connecticut. Bought a Marshall DSL 20 head, play through a Marshall 2061 X cabinet. Cool. I don't know what that cabinet is, but." Sounds great, loud. Love the new DSLs. Yeah, the new DSLs are awesome. I've been using that amp nonstop, and I've got to confess something to everyone who will thumbs down this video in a moment. The Marshall DSL has spoilt me. I enjoy it more than the PV Bandit.
Oh.
2 thumbs up.
I took the PV Bandit out last Sunday, and it was all right. I even said to Ryan, I think on that night,
You did say that.
I've been using the DSL for quite some time now, and look, the Bandit's still great for it's like 1/10 of the price, but there was something about the DSL that I love. So
yeah, man. Hey, we had that chat like a month ago where I said, why don't you bring your Marshall, man? Because it sounds awesome, and it makes you play differently.
Yeah, it's definitely got it's got this growl, like this really punchy sound that none of my other amps have. The Fender's
it's called tone.
My Fender amp with my pedals, I love that combination, but it's more of a classy sort of smooth sound. The Marshall's just like, you're going to hear this amp irrespective of, how you've got it set. It's a killer. So the 20s are awesome. I mean, Lando 27 Music in the chat here, he's got the head as well. Rick and I had a chance to play the DSL 20 up against the Origin amp recently. So yeah, that was an interesting experiment, putting those two amps back to back. And I got to say, Rick playing a Les Paul doing rock and roll riffs kind of made the Origin sound pretty great too. I got to say, we were in there the week before trying the Origin 50, and you lasted about 30 seconds in it from memory. Rick, you went nah. Next when we were testing Silver Sky out, I think it was.
Yeah. Look, it really does need like that Les Paul that I chose. I know it's got a darker sound into sort of Fender style amp, so I knew it would be a good match for the Marshall. And yeah, it rocked. I was on the way home. I was thinking about all the great heavy riffs that I forgot to play. It was just addictive, and it's funny. I don't want to preempt too much, but playing the JTM 45 half stack on 10 with the channels jump was it was an absolute, and no offense to religious people, but it was a religious experience for us. And it just made me think there's just not a hope in hell that digital can ever capture that. Just the girth and the power and the way it just sort of moves air in the room, and it's incredible.
Rick's in love.
I totally am. I just need to join a stadium rock band, and I'll be happy as a pig in shit. But it was such a good sound, and I don't know if you guys saw. Do you watch the Morgan Amps Instagram page?
No, I don't think so.
Well, he had if you have a look at it, there was a screenshot of a digital amp. I'm not sure which one it says. The rigs are all full. There's no more space for rigs or something. And his quote was, "This will never happen with a Morgan amp." And you should have seen the amount of hate that he got.
Oh wow!
From the digital amp fanboys saying, your amps peg out at one rig. I've got 95 rigs in my blah blah blah. Wow. And I think they just sort of missed the point. It was a very sort of tongue-in-cheek comment, but I think for me personally, playing that JTM 45 set the cause of digital amps back a long, long way in my own mind anyway. It's what a sound.
I remember just standing. Rick was right in front of it with no earplugs, and I was about, I don't know, 4 or 5 meters back from, maybe not that far, maybe 3 meters back from the amp with earplugs in, and I could feel it in my pants. It's epic. It's like, it was this huge wall of sound.
Your bands were dancing, no doubt about it.
Yeah. It was awesome. So we got Nick in the States here as well. Welcome, man. He was on our last Summit chat. And
hey, Nick.
We got Lando says, repeat question for Dr. Rick. Dreamworld question, and money is no object. Do you pick a Squier Bullet Tally or an Epiphone Les Paul Special 2? I think he's hanging it on you, Rick. I know you wouldn't buy either of those if money was no option. Would you get a Squier Bullet?
Is that for firewood? What are we talking about?
So my friend, a guy we know that comes to the jams, Khalid, he owns this Chinese-made double neck guitar, which doesn't stay in tune and doesn't do anything. So I suggested that we do like a video, which I believe will go pretty much viral when we're in the midst of winter time here. I want to chop it up and throw it in the fireplace where we go jamming. And all the proceeds of ad revenue will go 100% to him until we pay off the actual guitar. I think that would be a good move. So we need to burn that. That'll be the first one in the fireplace. Does it burn? Number one.
Yeah. Well, so I'd pick the Epiphone Les Paul, Landon, because that would definitely burn a lot longer than the Tele. Yeah.
I like those guitars. I played one in San Fran last year, the left-handed Epiphone Special 2s. It was all right. It was good. I mean, the only thing with its tuning stability wasn't awesome, but tone-wise, I had fun. There's some funny comments here. When you were talking about the Marshall, Andres says, does Rick need a moment to himself? We got asked, Crackboy says, how do we find the Wampler Tumnus Deluxe? So I haven't actually tried that. It's essentially just a clon with an EQ control on it. It's got, I think, low, mids, and highs. I had the original one, which was fine if you like the clon sound, but I haven't had a chance to plug one of them in. It'll be a clon with an EQ control. So if you like the clon sound and you want some more flexibility, then that's what you get.
You know what I reckon? My 2 cents worth would be people bugger up the clon when they get too fancy. Do you remember that pedal
totally.
That was a clon that had 2 toggle switches and 3, and then little mini ones and big ones fitting them? The beauty of the clon for me is it's dirt simple. Just 3 controls. If you need any more than that, then you should go and have a long, hard look at yourself.
I remember getting asked that question a lot on live streams, like, am I going to test one? And I actually said, no, I'm not that interested, because I've already tested the Tumnus and I've tested pretty much the exact same thing in another brand. It's visually different. There might be some tweaks, but it's essentially exactly the same pedal that I did for another company. So there's nothing about it and I totally agree with Rick. The best thing about that red clon was the fact you turn it on and it sounds good. As well as the Tumnus as well had a little bit more low end, but it was something that you didn't tweak around with and get option paralysis. So you plug it in and it works. I think, exactly what Rick said. It pretty much sums it up. So that's not to belittle. I think Brian Wampler likes to make his pedals have more options than they need sometimes as well, for good or bad. Some people like a pedal with a million options, and some people don't. It should just sound.
That option that he's got, that kill switch, that's really good.
Do you want to explain a bit about that, Rick, and move to your left a little bit so we can see it? There we go.
Better?
Thanks, mate.
Yeah. So a friend of ours who shall remain nameless has got a Wampler
dual fusion.
A dual fusion, yeah. Anyway, there's a switch, a toggle switch right at the top of it, and it's a 2-position switch. But if you're really lucky, you can get the switch right in the middle, and no sound comes out. And there's been at least 2, if not 3 gigs I've seen him at where he set up all these pedals and he's ready to rock and roll. He's got the rock pout, he's got the legs akimbo and he's ready to, and you know what? Nothing comes out. Just the sound of nothing. Crickets. Anyway, and so I've got it all on video where he's fart-assing around with his amp and checking all the cables, checking the input and going through all the pedals and checking the power supplies. And how many songs, Shane, did it take? 4 songs?
No, I think it was more.
Yeah, 5 songs in a 40-minute bracket of trying to work out what's going on. And then playing...
You played great for those last 2, though.
Soaring guitar solos with a dead clean Chinese valve amp. It sounded like the Beach Boys on a bad day. And then all of a sudden, thinks, that kill switch, bang. So the next time I see him with that pedal, I'm going to take it off his board and throw it in the creek.
So the reason it's got this switch too, just to let people know, you can kind of change the way that the in and out goes. So you can either have left into right or right into left or something like that. But essentially, like if you accidentally knock the switch with your foot while you're playing, or you're in a rush to set up and you get no sound, the first thing is you want to check your power supply and cables and all that kind of stuff. like Rick said, the best thing to do with that switch is once you've got it, you know which way you like it, saw it off with a hacksaw, because it was 4 or 5 songs. He did have sound in amongst that, but he was literally just going straight into the amp. So and this was at a festival gig too. So I'm standing there doing basically a trio gig for the first 5 songs. So it's a pretty weird design. Let's just put it that way. So we've got almost 100 people here too. If you're enjoying the chat and we've answered a question or whatever, please give it the thumbs up. And also, I've put a link up in the cards of this live stream through to a channel that Rick and I will be we've started filming for. And welcome to subscribe over there too. So I'll put up a video on my channel more about it coming up pretty soon. But if you want to hear us making some noise on another channel, we'll be on there. So you can check that out. The cards are up here somewhere, I think, or this side, depending on how this works on here. All right, and let me check the chat, or if anyone else has been looking at it, feel free to. I haven't been reading it for a little bit. So actually, you know what? I was talking to you guys about just over text message about the new DeVille version 4.
Yeah.
And how it's killer. It's almost a pedalless drive channel for the first time in a long time. Or it's a good off-clean starting dirt tone. You could then push with something else. I really think it's definitely one of the best Fender amps I've played. The clean is DeVille 212 clean is, in my opinion, one of the best clean channels ever. It's a nice modern kind of clean tone, fat and full sounding and all that kind of stuff. But the drive channel has always been like the weak point. It kind of feels like, it actually works. Like if you're just playing straight up blues, you wouldn't even need a pedal, I don't reckon. But if you want to sort of, fatten it out, you could add a pedal in there. But I really like it. I think it's, if it wasn't 50 kilograms, it would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm keen to try one out. It's nothing like having a 212 combo. I know it's a pain to lug around, but I just love how it just disperses the sound on stage. It's a big sound, and I'll be keen to get the volume up on this one. Let the power tubes do a bit of work, and it sounds like they might have got the preamp right after all these years of it sounding pretty crap.
Yeah, it's much, much better than the last one that I had with the 70-80 speakers too. So they've actually put Celestion A-type speakers in there, which are the American voice Celestians that are kicking around at the moment, and they're great. Like, what a great amp. You don't even need to swap speakers out, and that was the biggest flaw with the older versions of the amps. Not the original ones. The original ones actually sounded good. Then they put those 70-80s in, and that's sort of where it fell apart. But this amp would just kill it in a live mix. I could just tell.
Yeah.
I wonder if the new version had anything to do with the Michael Landau one.
No, possibly. Yeah, that was something I don't know if I got to play that or not. I can't remember.
Yeah, I've never played one, but like every video that you've heard of it sounded amazing. And I think is it the same? I can't remember if it's the same speaker that they have.
I think it is. It's definitely the Celestion. Yeah. So no, I've played one a couple of times, and I got close to pulling the trigger, but but then I found out it was made in Mexico.
And Rick's racist. Is that the
problem? No. But they did sound really good. It was absolutely hellaciously heavy too. But the Landau one was cool because it just had 2 volumes that you could foot switch, and there was a fat switch as well. So you could set up your rhythm volume and then just click across to just a slightly louder version of it.
Yeah,
it was really simple. If you turned up to a gig and that was a backline, you'd have a very good night, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so maybe the new ones can trace its some of the mods to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would think so. I think definitely the speaker tweak is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Fender have always let themselves down. I love their amps, and I've owned 15 of them or something by now. But I think their speakers are always not always, but a lot of the time the downside to some of those amps. But we've got a couple of people I just want to give a quick shout out to. We've got Marcel here as well. Welcome, man. We got where was the other one? Thokon, I think that's how you pronounce it. Thokon. Greetings from Germany. Love your channel. I'm a lefty, 53 years old, and play guitar for 1 year since I have the time. Oh, good stuff, man. Well done. It's always good to see another lefty on the channel. And if you're new to the channel, check out my Jerry's Lefty Guitars playlist. That's got loads of probably 40 left-handed electric guitars on it now. So yeah, check that out. All right. Brian from Oregon says his favorite amp right now is the Fender Supersonic 22 Head. Good amp. Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got to hear Brian's Supersonic 60 out recently as well. He hasn't had that out for a little while, and it was great. It was really cool. They're a really cool amp. Oh, wow. I must be a little bit not up to date with the chat here. I might be a little behind here, guys. So if I've missed your question or whatever, feel free to
ask again.
Yeah. Sonia says, Jamal is asking, hey, if I bought a Tokai in Australia, will I be able to bring it to the USA? Yeah, absolutely. So the CITES thing, the restrictions on the rosewood and all that is only applicable if you're going to get it mailed. So if you turn up to any country in the world and take it back on the plane, you're going to be fine. And being that you work for a major airline, I don't think you'll have any problems. Just ship me a few back this way when you're done.
Is Jamal coming to Australia?
I don't know. I'll have to find out. I've got him on my SMS list as well, so I'll find out. He works pretty hard. He does like 16-hour days for this airline, so hopefully they look after him.
I thought he's always joining the chat while he's at work.
Yeah, well, I put working hard in quotations.
Yeah, working hard or hardly working.
The funny thing is I could go live like 24 hours a day and Jamal would be there. Like, it doesn't matter what time it is in Dallas. It's Dallas or Houston. I always get that confused. But, yeah, he doesn't sleep much, the poor guy. Hey, we've got Steve here as well. Welcome, Steve. Just wanted to say hi.
Is it Steve from Boston?
Nah, Steve Mandraki from New Jersey. He was on my community hangout last time.
Oh, cool. Hey, Steve.
What's the trick with picking pedals? Oh, okay. So Benjamin's asking Landon, what's the trick to picking pedals that work in front of the THR 10C? So if you're buying that amp or you already own it, the trick is not to put pedals in front of it. Delays and stuff will work fine, but you don't really want to push a modeling amp with a clon. It's kind of like not going to sound like it should. That's just my 2 cents. Any of those modeling amps, look, it might work to some extent, but it's never going to shine. Not to belittle the amp, because those THR 10s are awesome, but yeah, I wouldn't go, plugging a $300 speaker into an amp, but that's this big. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So just use the amp models and stuff. You should be able to dial in a pretty good sound. That's the same thing I said when the Fender Mustang was out. Like, they're like, oh, I want to buy a tube screamer and put that in front of it. I'm like, try the one that's built in. It's going to sound identical. So,
yeah, I used to play one at Cranbourne Music all the time because it was I'd sneakily have one by the desk, and when we didn't have any customers, I'll just plug it in
into the THR.
Yeah,
they're cool, huh?
They're very cool. Yeah.
All right, so second, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Chord Jam says, do Telecasters with humbuckers have a Les Paul vibe? That's kind of an interesting question, because I'd almost say yes and no. The Squier Contemporary Series one that Ryan and I filmed, that red, the new one that was out. I think I demoed a red one, but we shot you playing a white one, I think, as well. Yeah. That did sound like a Les Paul to me. It had that dark, thick kind of vibe. But there's other humbuckers you'll find in Tellies that don't sound like a Les Paul. I mean, you guys played that fancy one at the guitar show last year that's still haunting everyone's dreams.
Oh my God, that one. I totally agree with Shane. I think it's a yes and no. Yes, in the sense that it's a humbucker, it's going to sound quite alike, but I think that the Les Paul has just got a darker and beefier sort of timbre to it. And the tellies, you know, even with the neck pickups, just nice and spanky. And the cool thing about that combination is that you get that on a neck pickup on a Les Paul. Sometimes it gets a lot muddy.
Yeah.
And a telly and with a neck pickup is great. I think it's a great combination. And yeah, that one at the Melbourne Guitar Show was, you know, amazing. And I was so close to getting that guitar.
I think Rick's still dreaming about it, actually.
I think we all are.
Yeah, look, it is great. I was thinking of making them an offer that they can't refuse before the end of the financial year if they want to move it on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
So I just tell them, look, sell me the guitar for this price, or I'll
I will hunt you down.
I will stalk you and be your nightmare.
So I just got told that the channel I couldn't pronounce is actually pronounced 2 and 3 chord jams. It just says 2 and 3. That makes complete sense when you break it down like that.
Yeah,
I'm a little slow sometimes. Nathan says, Shane, any advice or experience upgrading Japanese 68 lefty pots? So there are no lefty pots. It's just the way that the guitars are wired. I made that mistake. I thought there were left-handed pots. Look, there might be somewhere out there, but I've replaced a whole lot of pots in my guitars over the years, and I always use Emerson Pro pots or Mojo Tone CTS pots because they're easy to get. My favorite ones are the Emerson ones. They're the most accurate that I've had a chance to have, and I bought bags of them, and I put the multimeter on them as well, and they were all pretty accurate. So. What was the guitar? So if it's you didn't tell me if it's a Strat or a Telecaster, you only really need 250K pots or 250K, and then you should be good to go. So check out Emerson custom guitars. You can order them from the US or maybe on eBay as well. They're a really reliable company. They know their stuff. And yeah, I've got them in my Tele and a whole lot of other guitars as well. So, or over the years, I put them in. That'd be my 2 cents. Here we go. So we just got told I've lost. Oh, here it is. Marcel says, I've just considered getting a SE245 or PRS, I think he means, from JB. Is it worth $600? $600 is pretty good, man, for an SE. Seems pretty reasonable. I mean, the one that I've got was I think they retail for about 12. So,
it sounds really cheap. Like, is it stolen?
So there's one at the local cash converters where I did a guitar search Saturday. I sent it to Brian. They've got one of the older SEs before mine in there for $600. So I would say that that's a pretty good deal. My suggestion would be go pick it up and make sure it plays okay, and make sure it stays in tune all right as well. Check the tuners, make sure they're not dodgy or anything like that. But I can't. I mean, these guys. Ryan and Rick both know I've been using mine to death, and it's been awesome. So, and my Tele's back in action, and I'm loving that as well. But the PRS, I haven't stopped playing it. Really, like it's a great live guitar.
Yeah. I the gig that we did, you brought the Tele out, and I think you went back to the PRS.
Yeah, that was because I also had the single coils in there that were giving me some grief. But since I've put the Bardens back in, that distraction is gone, and I'm really loving playing that thing again. Now the nut's been fixed and all that kind of stuff. It's on par again as my favorite guitar.
Oh, cool.
Marcel says not stolen, new from JB Hi-Fi. Yeah, that's Rick's dry humor. Yeah, that's
it does sound pretty cheap though. That sounds silly cheap, really.
You know what? I want to bring something up that's really cool. So with the Jam and the guys from the Jam, I've noticed that everyone's using PRS now.
Yep. And another guy just bought another one the other day too from Sky Music. Alex.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did he get it from there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you were there. Sorry, man. Yeah, of course.
I was there.
Yeah, I forgot.
It looked great. It looked great and it sounded great. Yeah, they're great guitars. Great guitars. Yeah, it might be Rick's fault or Shane's fault, actually.
No, it's Shane's fault. Look, I've got to fess up here. I have not rated PRS guitars for the longest time, for probably just about as long as they've been around. I don't find the headstock particularly sort of iconic like a Gibson or a Fender or a Guild or.
You know why you don't find it iconic? Because it hasn't been around as long as the other brands. If that shape had been around in the 60s, it'd be everyone would think of it as just another guitar from like Gibson or Fender.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
Anyway, sorry, I'll shut up.
No, that's fine. No, please, sorry to speak while you're interrupting, but no, I'm just going on a rant.
All these drama.
So what Rick's actually
community, man.
What Rick's actually trying to say is he's a huge PRS fanboy now. Him and Paul are like this.
Yeah, he can reach around and fiddle with my knobs anytime while I'm playing. I love the way he does that. But no, look, seriously, once I heard you play it and heard the top end on the attack, that sort of chirpy sound, because I always thought that humbuckers were just sort of this muddy kind of, ill-defined, very sort of mid-range, no top end. And once I heard the pickups on yours, I thought, wait a minute. So we went to Sky Music and I played 25 of them. You were there. Remember? Mm-hmm. You had about 3 birthdays in that room. And then I got the Custom 22 and I literally have not played another guitar since then, except for when I busted a string the other night at the gig and I had to play a spare 52 Junkyard Dog Telly that was sitting around, which I love.
That's awesome.
But so we'll do a video on that guitar and the epiphany that happened.
Yeah,
it'll break the internet.
So John says, "Great show, guys. I got a Strat. It's a Bitzer, so bits of everything. The neck is snug, but there's a few mil gap under a few mils of gap under the fretboard to the body. Is that a problem? It's been like that since I got it in 2009. Look, it's only a problem if it doesn't play right or the neck's not centered or hang on, under the fretboard to the body. I think that's what he means. Maybe like the pocket that joins the neck into the body. If you look at your strings and they're coming down and they're not hanging off the fretboard on one side, you should be okay. You can kind of like loosen the strings and realign the neck slightly if it is, and then just tighten it back up and you should be all right. Sometimes people will put like a shim in there to stop it from moving if that's the case. But look, if it plays okay and the strings look aligned, then you should be okay. But I'm not a luthier. That's only from the experience I've had. So I know Ryan might know a bit more about that than me. But
well, I think it's kind of hard to answer that question without having a look at it.
Yeah.
So
come on, man. What kind of guitar player are you?
I think my advice is find somebody local that you can take it to. If you think it is a problem, or just take a photo and send it to somebody and just say, does this look like a problem? And I think what Shane is saying is right. Like if it's going out of tune a lot, it's not it feels weird when you play, then yeah. If you don't find any of those problems, I don't think it's hard to say without looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, look, certainly a lot of the top end guitars, they say that when they make the neck and body joint, one of the things they aim for is the neck to stay in the joint without even screwing it in. So it's that tight. So I guess we're talking about the coupling between the neck and the body to maximise the sort of transmission of the vibration, blah, blah, blah. But, mate, look, for all we know, you play heavy metal and lots of gain and, whether it sustains for 2 minutes or 3 minutes makes not a jot of difference. So Yeah, but if you're playing dead clean, you're finding that the notes are sort of dying on you, etc., then it will be worthwhile getting it attended to and just perhaps getting something that's going to make that neck pocket tighter to improve the transmission.
Well, look, John, if you want to take a photo and send it to me, I'm happy to have a look at it for you, man. But it's a bit hard to tell, without looking at it.
Yeah, I got patients who do that all the time.
Is this a rash? What's this rash?
Yeah, it's nasty. If I ever lose my phone, I'll be in all sorts of trouble.
Oh man. So Lando27 Music says he's never even plugged into a PRS, and that was like Rick and I. We didn't have any expectations. We thought we'd be underwhelmed by them, and like Ryan's got a great one. I think that was maybe the turning point for me when I heard that gold top one you've got. I was like,
oh, really?
That thing sounded so good. It was. I was really shocked. I remember because we put it onto like split coil mode and we put it up against the Strat we had or something, and we're like, that's pretty close. Like, but I still think those guitars shine on just straight up humbucker mode. They're clear enough that you don't need. Well, I find I don't really ever use the single coil mode on mine. Mine's a really bright sounding guitar, so making it brighter by splitting the coils isn't really something I'm into. But the humbuckers are just really, really cool. They're worth checking out.
Absolutely. I think I won't say they haven't had a bad rap, but like I think between the years of 2000, all the heavy guys were using PRS. And you didn't really see any of the traditional like blues guys or rock guys. Everyone would stick with their Les Pauls or Strats or, so the gold top that Shane's talking about is a Dave Grissom model, and I've had that guitar for a long time, and I've always had a love for PRS because when I was first getting into guitar, my uncle, showed me a video of Carlos Santana, and I know, some people might laugh at that, but he was kind of my first, introduction to guitar music. And he has a beautiful guitar. And I think his brother that plays in his band as well has a really beautiful PRS. So growing up, I always, loved PRS guitars. And I think when I was maybe 18, my first good guitar was a PRS.
Wow.
But the stupid thing, I was so, I was such a big fan of Slash, and I really wanted a Les Paul and I traded it with a Gibson Les Paul, and that PRS was a really old PRS, but I was too young to appreciate, the guitar, and I just wanted a guitar that my hero had. But so fast forward all these years, and I always sort of feel that PRS guitars are great. They feel great, but they don't really have a lot of fight. And I'm only talking about the ones that I've played. And it wasn't until I've played the Dave Grissom model that I went, wow, this is great. This is like I think I've always had the idea that it should sound like in between a Strat and a Les Paul, but you can't really think like that, and I shouldn't have.
Yeah,
they do their own thing, it's like
that's part of the whole internet hearsay thing, like someone in somewhat of a present social power says, oh, it's just trying to do this, it's trying to do that, and then enough people hear that or whatever, and word gets around that their opinion is fact when it really actually isn't. So I kind of believe that I made the assumption about that as well. That's not going to really do what a Strat does. If you want to buy a Strat, go get a Strat. If you want a Les Paul, go buy that. But it doesn't sound like either, really. Like it is doing its own thing. And playability-wise, if that's even a word, it's the easiest guitar I've got to play. It's right up there. Like I got a couple that are really easy to play, but that's, like you said, it's almost too easy. And I think Rick's sort of felt the same way about his. Once you play it for a while, you go back to something else. You go, oh, okay. So this is not as easy to play. Why is that?
Yeah, I like it. I like a bit of fight the guitar, I suppose. And look, I've put heavier strings on it too, so 11s, and but even then, compared to a telly, I pick up the telly and it feels like you're pushing around fence wire. But they do their own thing. So yeah, I'm a Nash fan.
I was just going to mention too, for those who are watching this, go check out Lando27 Music's YouTube channel. He put together this kind of like fake hangout shout out video with all of our faces, and then go check it out. Just go watch it. It's hilarious. He makes some pretty creative videos. That was one of the best ones I've seen all week. So it's definitely fun. So thanks. Your accent was terrible, but if I was trying to do a Canadian one, I'd be pretty bad at it as well. So
you just say out and about and
out and about.
Yeah.
What's that? Sorry. Oh, Ryan, what'd you say?
I just said Canadian, eh?
Yeah.
That was really bad.
Yeah. So the one thing that I'll give it credit for, it looks actually like I've got good teeth because his teeth look good. So I was like, oh, maybe I should get my teeth fixed. And go check it out. It's pretty funny. So
nonsense. You could be buying guitars with that money.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Who needs health?
Yeah.
So we've got about 20 minutes. We'll probably stay on until about 10:30 or something. Or 10:30 our time. So if anyone else has any questions, feel free to let us know. Sonia, thanks for that. Thanks for moderating the chat. Yeah, she says, please give the thumbs up for the stream. Thanks.
Hey, what happened last time? We were talking, and all these people were sending us money. What's happened to all them?
I went thirds with the guys. I shouted them a ginger beer each or something. No. So that's just the super chat thing. I never plug that, and guys, don't start using it now. Just being here is fine. So there's some channels that plug that a lot. I'm not one of those guys. So thanks to that, Rick. You've just brought my reputation down even further.
My work has only just begun. Super chat. Super chat. Where would they get the super chat button? Is it up here? Where is it?
It's on you. I'm not even going to go there. All right, we're going to lose subs. We're going to lose stream.
Seriously, guys, thank you for your company. We do this because we love it, and the money is purely for it's a bonus, and Shane can heat his house and buy his tuner and all that sort of stuff. So give that they may grow.
So here's a good question. At 100,000 subscribers, you guys got a jam at Shane's studio. So I was actually thinking about doing something possibly at a venue, maybe the middle room at Mount Dandenong. We'll all get together,
cool.
Do like a Saturday gig there with me, you, Dom, Brian, grab some drums and bass and nerd it up, maybe 3 guitars at a time or something. So maybe do like an hour blues set or something or whatever, just play and have some fun as the 100,000 subscriber thing, because that's why we're all here. We all love to play guitar. My channel was mostly clips of Rick and I playing years ago, and as well as my other bands over the years as well. So it'd be good to do like a good quality sort of live stream of a gig. I'll get it mixed properly and bring my sound card and all that kind of stuff, and just go for it. Otherwise, all 3 of us could get together and jam over one of these hangouts. Actually jam in person would be fun too. But if we can get drums and bass and mic everything up, I think we'll be in business. So I've just got to organize it. I need one piece of gear for that to happen, and then it can happen. And I'll work on that before we get to 100,000 subscribers. Oh, here's a good question for you guys. I already know my answer to this, but thoughts on Nash guitars. Thinking of getting one, but not sure if I love the relic thing. They feel amazing though. That's from JE Music.
Yeah, I think they do feel pretty good too. I think resale value is not great. So buy it if you love it and you're going to hang on to it and play it. Look, part of the relicking thing is what Nash does with the back of the neck. It feels terrific. It's sort of sanded down to that very smooth sort of matte finish, the bare wood. and it works well. He puts on pretty good hardware, puts low pickups in them. There's one actually at Deluxe at the moment that I've played a couple of times. It's a Fiesta Red with a Lola Special T in the bridge and a Lola P90 in the neck, and it's pretty great. It's got a good amount of vibe. It's $2,700.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I might let someone else buy that, and then when they get sick of it, come in and pay a reasonable price. So, but everything works well. I just think at that price, I probably wouldn't be pulling the trigger unless it was absolutely amazing, because you definitely have done your dough.
Yeah,
I remember when they used to be like $1,200.
Yeah.
You know, yes, and yeah, don't get me wrong, they feel really, really good. But I remember that when they were $1,200. So, and I'm sure, you know, they've gotten better, or, you know, I understand inflation and why they have to be the price they are now. But check out if you don't like. That's a lot of inflation. But if you're looking at it and not buying Fender, check out guitars like LSL. They make great guitars as well, and I think they're cheaper than Nash for some reason.
Wow.
And go on YouTube, find the LSL factory tour. These guitars are made by hand, one at a time. I used to have a Tele, and that I think Rick, you like that Tele, didn't you?
Yeah, got it.
And I sold it only because, you know, I'm dumb and I'm a Fender snob. But it was a great guitar. Oh no, I did. I remember why I sold it. I sold it because it had a V-neck that I don't really like V-necks, you know. But just, oh man, sounded amazing, looked amazing, and they're well-made guitars. So LSL is one. If you check out Fano guitars as well, Fanos are really nice. You guys, Tyler is, you know, James Tyler is amazing, but they're pretty pricey. Do you guys know of any other Strat Tele style brands?
Well, obviously guys like Sir.
Oh yeah, of course.
Sir. But again, they don't. Sorry,
Headstock.
yeah. It's a bit hideous, but
I don't mind it. But, you know, I know a lot of people hate it.
Yeah, they don't really hold their resale either, but they're good. I bought a Sir. You've got one, haven't you, too, Ryan?
Yeah, I've got a Sir Classic, which is a humbucker. Has a humbucker, 2 Sinclair's and the Floyd Rose.
Yeah.
Do you have that? No, Tony has that right now.
Yeah, no. I've got a Floyd Rose exclusion zone around my house.
Hang on, guys. Let me just give a quick shout out to our Metal Stage podcast. They donated the Mark of the Beast to the super chat here, 666. So thanks to that, man. I appreciate that. You don't have to do that, by the way, but
it's $666.
No.
$6
Yep. So he said, I think the comment was under it. Someone mentioned, where was it? $6.66. That's from Craig Clark. He says, towards Dr. Rick's next custom shop. So we can put that into the kitty there. So, no, thanks for that, mate. I appreciate it. I jumped on their podcast a couple of times whenever I'm editing and free or whatever, just sitting around. So it always comes on at the right time. I'm usually on the computer cutting up videos. And, they got a good, fun guitar podcast. And I think he said, there it is. It says, for your inner metal love. So for those who don't know, I actually really like heavy music as well. Over the years, I've listened to just about everything. This CD collection is a mess of stuff, from blues to funk to heavy Rob Zombie, White Zombie stuff. I've got electronic stuff in here.
You've got Bay City Rollers at the top there. I see that. They're awesome.
I don't know who that is, but we got Miles Davis. Rob Zombie's there. We got lots and lots of stuff. So
what's the Miley Cyrus stuff?
Yeah, just right here, man. Right here. This is one of the, this album's over 20 years old now. I don't know if you know this at all, but this had More Human Than Human, and it's a killer. It's a great album. But yeah, I always love the tones of and the just something about that music too. I love the attitude, but I can't play it. I don't really want to play it either. I just enjoy listening to it from time to time in the car and get in the zone. You get all these people looking at you like, what? You don't look like a metal guy. So yeah, I love this stuff. Brian from Oregon says, have any of you had experience with Supro amps? There is a used 35 watt Coronado, a 210 at the local shop that seems pretty killer for the price. I just don't know the history or the quality of these. Some of the best amps I've played in the last 5 years are Supro in terms of tone. The Royal Reverb, I think it was called, I nearly bought that. It's a monster. And they've got one called the Rhythm Master loaded with a single 15. It is the tone of the gods. But just make sure if you buy a Supro amp, you buy a trolley or a dolly for it as well, because they're ridiculously heavy.
Oh, are they heavy?
Oh, yeah, they're absolutely.
Oh, right.
The single, the 210 Royal Reverb. Sorry, I keep getting the names confused because I'm not as familiar with them. But the Royal Reverb weighs about the same as the DeVille 212. It is an absolute ball breaker. So yeah, it's super heavy. We've got WS from sunny Scotland. Wow, that's something I haven't heard before. Sunny Scotland. I always thought it was cold and miserable there too. But yeah, any of you guys got? Sorry.
Those are good. They just use some unusual tube types. So I guess my concern with that is that obviously, Murphy's Law says you blow a tube. If it's going to be hard to find, that could be a bit problematic. So I guess most of my amps use either 6Ls, 6L6s, 6V6s, and 12AX7s, 12AT7s. Nothing sort of too weird. So just have a look at that. Make sure you can get replacement tubes for some of the Supros, because I think that's part of their mystique, that they use perhaps slightly unusual tube types to get their sort of tones. So, but they look pretty cool, and you see them on back lines around the place, and I think they're pretty reasonably priced too for an amp that's made in the US of A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and isn't that the brand of amps that Jimmy Page used to record the solo to Stairway?
Oh,
yes,
wow.
yeah, absolutely.
So you should just buy it because of that.
Didn't he use a PV Bandit Red Stripe? I can't remember.
Nah, I don't know about that. He used the Squire.
No, I had the Blue Stripe one, the one before that. That's right.
A PV studio. That's what he used.
Yeah.
All right. So here's a good question. I'll take this one as well. Sun Lounger 29 says, any tips to record a band in practice or band practice without too much trouble? Yeah, get a Zoom H1 recorder. I'll type it in down the bottom.
Yeah.
Just put one of them on a tripod or something, or on a mic stand. And they got two little stereo mics that point in XY axis, like across like this. And just put it a little bit, don't put it right in front of the guitar amp or anything, but you can set the levels on it, move it back in the room, and just hit record. And it'll give you a really good stereo sound. So that would be the easiest way to do it. And the battery life on them is great, and they're like $100, at least in Australia. So probably $30 everywhere else.
Mm.
But yeah, that would be the quickest and easiest way. And they record to an micro SD card. And you put that in your computer via a little adapter, or you can USB the actual unit into the computer and transfer all the WAV or MP3 files to the desktop that way. My only suggestion would be turn the limiter off and turn the gain down so it's nowhere near clipping, and it will sound better than it sort of self-regulating the input volume. A lot of the videos you saw about a year ago on my channel, I was using that recorder for my voice when I didn't have my wireless pack, or about a year and a half ago now. But they're great. They work well in front of in bands situations and all that as well. So that would definitely be it.
Mm. Someone's commented, ZD351 said, look at a McMull and then the Sir will look fine. Have you seen those McMull guitars?
No.
Yeah.
They're made in Israel. So you see the body and it looks like a classic old Strat or a classic old Telly. And then your eyes sort of go up the neck, and you're just getting all excited, and your juices are flowing, and you're starting to breathe a bit harder, and you start palpitating, and then you see the headstock. It's like shrinky winky. What the hell were they thinking?
The body looks awesome. I just went to their website, Macmull Guitars, MACMULL-guitars.com. The tally that's on there looks fantastic.
Look at the headstock. It looks like someone fell into a bandsaw and just sawed off it.
You know what? I can't seem to find. Yeah. You know what? That looks that turns it from looking like a professional, beautiful instrument into something that you'd expect a company like not to belittle cheap amps, but something just off eBay for $30. That's the shape. It's like, well, we don't want to put any effort into it. Let's just cut it into a rectangle. Hey,
wow.
Kurt Singer just used the super chat here. He says, thanks, guys, for all you do. Always entertaining and informative. Thanks, man.
Thanks, kid.
Appreciate that. Thanks for joining in and being part of the community.
Super chat. It works.
Stop it. That's it. I'm going to refund everybody. No.
Yeah, aren't they the most beautiful looking bodies and necks?
Yeah. I'm on my small computer. Otherwise, I'd share this with everybody. But check out how great the guitars look. Like Rick said, once you see the headstock, you just go, oh. Like that was a live reaction video right there.
Yeah, look, that's terrible. Yeah, it's
a slide whistle. That's from Kevin Ullman. That, like when the air's been let out of the tire.
Yes, the instant soft on. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Peter says, Poeta. He says that's Aussie for Peter. He says, I want to write a new blues rock type riff, but can't think of what chord should start with. So I said I would ask the internet, what do you think? So for me, this is just what I come up with. When I write songs, I usually come up, I'll just sit there and noodle around until there's something that sounds like something good. It could just be a chord shape. It could just be you're playing something that you don't know what chord it is. You just find some notes and you start strumming. In terms of blues rock stuff, if it's a riff-based thing, you just gotta like keep at it, come up with something. Usually when you're improvising, you'll come up with something that can be turned into a riff. That's how I kind of hear it. I mean, I haven't written a whole lot of riff-based songs, but I've written a lot of songs. And at least for what I do, the ideas stem from me improvising over something else sometimes. Or I set a loop station up and I just start trying to put a piece of a riff over the top of a chord or vice versa. So, yeah, or I'm inspired by something. I hear something in my head or I've heard something on an album and I kind of go, I really like that song, but I can't copy that. Let's take the concept and maybe mix it up, change the key, add a few extra notes, take a few notes out. Even that will get some creative things flowing. At least, that's how it's worked for me over the years. Or you can just blatantly copy stuff as well. I don't know.
I reckon one of the good things to sort of bust out of ruts is to use like open strings and kind of sort of riff off of them and maybe just do some like droning things or just something to kind of bust out of the typical sort of
that's the greatest thing ever.
I reckon. Yeah, that's true. And I think Deep Purple stole it off me before I was born. But yeah, I think I like the sound of sort of fretted and open strings at the same time. It kind of is a bit interesting and just something to kind of something fresh for the ear, where it catches someone's ear and away you go.
I totally agree. I like. I was gonna say, I was actually thinking about the question and going like, I don't know if there's a chord that you could write a cool riff, but I guess, Doc, are you talking about this? Like if you grab like an open E.
Yeah,
something like that, like an open. Yeah, so there's an E here, and then there's an open E. So if that's how I would sort of try that.
I think it's
absolutely.
one thing we didn't mention is like everyone's at different places musically, right? So
Yeah.
writing a riff like what Ryan was just playing comes from him kind of having the mind-hand connection thing and knowing what's going to come out. So a good way to do that is try to hum the notes in your head as you kind of play them too. I mean, you might already be well past that point, right? So I don't know, but that's a good way, and it might help others kind of come up with ideas, is to have that connection of the notes. And that just comes from playing and working out what goes together. And, you know, getting inspired by the songs, I think, that get you going as well. Like that kind of, to me, sounded a little bit, or reminded me a little bit of the funky Superstition riff, but it didn't sound like Superstition. So that's a great example of like Ryan spending 30 seconds going, what can I play? And then that comes out and it sounds great. So you could base the song around that riff easily. There's no question about it. Or you can put a capo on and make it sound like it's in F sharp or something. So
one thing I used to do when I used to practice was I used to put up a drum loop, right? So I'll just, you know, you go on YouTube, or if you have GarageBand or something, you can put up any style and, you know, change the speed. And usually I would do something like just the drum loop, and then I would think of a bass line, and then I would, you know, come up with a riff, and just record stuff, you know, and not planning to do anything with them, just recording it and then just deleting it and then doing it all over again, just so I can get my songwriting chops up. And I think that's key. It's about writing as many riffs as you can. And just to touch on what Shane has said about, you know, how I came up with that, it's because, you know, throughout the years that I've been playing guitar, you know, I just, you know, just come up with stuff that, and it usually doesn't turn into a song, but one of my guitar teachers told me to get better at songwriting, you got to write for the waste paper basket. And I always thought that was great, because, you know, everyone thinks or hopes that if you write something or come up with something, you hope that it's going to be like a hit or whatever. But just, you know, just write and just do stuff. I think that's quite important.
Yeah, I think doing something over doing nothing will always make whatever you do coming up better on the most part. It's all a part of the process. Like I've written some chord progressions that, you know, I came up with on bass that I would never have worked. I didn't actually work out the guitar parts until after, and I was like, that's kind of like the wrong way for me, but it worked, and it's one of the better songs because it forced me to come up with these different feels. I wanted to tie it all together, and I just want to give a quick shout out again to Craig Clark here. He just says, always enjoy you guys talking guitars. Use the super chat as well. Rick, it's working, mate. Super chat. Your influence is
look, we appreciate it. And look, all jokes aside, we do this because we love it, but your support just helps us to realise that we're doing the right thing, and it builds our self-esteem and our reason for living. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm just reading all the comments, and everyone's just talking about the guitars and the headstock.
Yeah. I noticed Cheddar said he didn't mind it. Look, I don't think it's not the worst headstock I've ever seen. It just surprised me because I looked at the body of that Tally and I was like,
what's the worst headstock than that, mate?
That's a 10, that body, and then you go up and it's like, oh, that's maybe a 4. That's a disappointment.
No.
Yeah, there's this. I won't go into that. There's a bad joke I'm not going to make, but
yeah. Look, Ron's hit on something too. 30 seconds. On YouTube, there are a million drum feels, aren't there? You can type in
Drew's drum tracks.
Yeah, Drew's drum tracks. You can type in, rumba, 110 beats a minute, swing, blues, blah, 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 and just let them run, and they just loop and loop. And just, I reckon, just run your recorder and fart ass around, listen to it back, and, you know, in amongst all the shit, there'll be just a little jewel. There'll be a little gem that's shining there. And I'm sure that's how they used to do it in the old days in the studio. Just roll tape, smoke a joint, and start playing. And you know, it's just great, and just see where it sort of takes you. I find drum drum tracks quite inspirational as far as you can hear different stuff that might happen over the top of them and what the bass bit might sound like.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I put a video up a while back of me recording. It's like a behind the scenes thing, recording backing tracks for the channel, and that was literally done in the moment. Like I had no concepts of what I wanted to do. I'd got some subscribed to Jim Dooley's drum tracks on the internet. So $2 a month, I get all these drum tracks that he provides, and they're the ones that I use.
Cool.
And it's great because I'll find a feel I really like first, like Rick just said, and then I'll be like, this sounds great. So I'll either get a guitar out or a bass part, a bass guitar, and then I'll work out something. You know, I keep them pretty simple so I can remember how to play them time after time. But it's sort of like he's right. The drums are the inspiration for the feel, and then all of a sudden you can almost hear something musical in the quality of the drums that fills in the gaps almost of the drum. You know, you'll hear a guitar part and you go, oh, that will work, or you'll hit a chord and you'll work out where the accent sits and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I go about doing those backing tracks. None of them are like preconceived on guitar. I literally download a drum track and I've got 3 more on the way, and I chuck them in my program and I just play. And if I get a concept just from improvising, I go, that's the feel. Let's lay that down. So yeah, it's a cool process. It's good coming up with something out of nothing. It's really fulfilling. I don't know what it is about it, you know, like, it's just, you're like, cool. That didn't exist before. It's cool.
Yeah.
Benjamin Cardenas says McMull outsources their headstocks from Home Depot. He sounds like one of your friends, Rick, this guy. He's got the same sort of humor.
Yeah, he's a nasty piece of work. Yeah, I think they outsourced him to the Institute for the Vision Impaired or something. But look,
man,
you know, because they look awesome. But anyway, I don't think they'll be coming out to Australia anytime soon, so we should be pretty safe.
There's a question here. I think Brian answered, but we can do this via the video here. What do you think of Charlie Sexton? He's currently with Bob Dylan.
Yeah, look, I remember when he first came out. Who was championing Charlie Sexton? Oh, he used to hang out with the Double Trouble Boys.
Really?
And Doyle Bramwell Jr. That's right. They were in Archangels. Remember they had the Double Trouble rhythm section.
Oh, cool.
He was. I'm not sort of familiar with his stuff with Bob Dylan, which I apologise if I've offended anyone, but I can't listen to a lot of Bob Dylan sort of live.
I unfortunately felt the same way seeing him live. It was like great band. He's an awesome songwriter, but I couldn't handle it.
Did you pay for a ticket to go and see him?
No, I got in with Ken because his affiliation with the venue.
I was going to have to say super chat.
We left early, unfortunately. It was we were both. As soon as he started singing, we started laughing. It was really weird. It was the first experience I had of that happening. And the funny thing is, like, I like his songs, right? I like a lot of his music. I think lyrically he's on another level.
Amazing.
Like, just listen to Hurricane. Like, how great is that? Like, there's nothing else like it. So yeah, I like his stuff. But yeah, it was not a memorable experience for me musically. Although his drummer was awesome. You know, the band were really quite amazing.
Yeah. His son is has a band called the Wallflowers, and I love that band. And
I remember them.
His son's voice is great.
Really good. He's a great singer. I just made a single. Single with One Headlight, wasn't it?
Oh, is that song?
One Headlight. Yeah,
I knew that.
And I think they covered Heroes. Was that their song?
Brilliant.
Great.
Good.
So good.
Yeah. So but getting back to Charlie Sexton, certainly I loved that Archangels album. I listened to it. Have you heard much of it, Ryan?
No, I haven't.
I told him to. It's really good.
I think I will.
There's a single called something about Jane. Anyway, just it's good sort of guitar-based pop rock.
Yeah.
It was when I first heard Doyle Bramwell second. He plays he's left-handed, but he strings it upside down.
Yeah.
You'd be into him, Shane, because being a southpaw.
Oh, sorry, I was not listening. I was typing. Sorry. I was multitasking.
Most left-handers are transvestites.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're talking about. And Tone Woods.
Cool.
No, Doyle Bramhall Jr. Have you seen him?
Yeah, look, I saw him live in 2007, and he was playing with Eric Clapton, and he was heavily overshadowed by Derek Trucks. I mean, unfortunately, that show was a huge disappointment. It was the Eric Clapton band. Eric didn't play much, and this was.
That's a good thing, though, isn't it?
I went there to see him. He was like one of the inspirations for me wanting to learn blues. And Doyle Bramwell didn't look like he wanted to be there. He just wasn't into it at all. Like, he just looked visibly bored. And I remember my girlfriend saying, "I think you might play better than that guy." And I just went, "Oh no, I don't." By the way, right? But for her to say that, I was like, "This guy might not." I didn't even know who he was back then, right? I had no idea. And I've got the desk recording from that gig. And it wasn't great. I just wanted to hear Eric play, but I think the fact that Derek Trucks is so good that I didn't probably get into what Doyle was doing at all that night. It was just a complete, But since then, though, I listened to more of his stuff, and I like some of his songs. He's got some really funky songs. So I don't think he's one of my favorite guitar players by any stretch of the imagination, but I like his songs. There's his last funky one. It was called Mama. Don't what was it called? Mama Don't I can't remember, but someone will probably correct me here, but
Mama Don't Preach, I'm in trouble deep. Mama Don't Preach.
It's called Mama something. Anyway, it's killer. It's on YouTube anyway. It's set like a retro video clip. Looks like it's shot in the 70s. It is super funky, man. It is super funky.
Yeah.
So I don't mind his stuff.
Yeah. I think he's great. Like, I think he does that that whole vintage Jimi Hendrix sort of vibe, like that old school Marshall, with like into a fuzz face with a wah and vibe. Like, not a lot of guys can do that really well, and he does that really well. And Shane, I totally agree. If you play in a band with one of the world's best guitar players, Derek Trucks, and you play guitar, it's gonna be hard to shine. But that said,
It's like when we play together, man. It's sort of like I'm like Derek,
Rick.
I'm like Doyle, and you're like Derek. You're flying around the fretboard. He killed it, man. I remember just going the only from a showmanship perspective, none of them were any good, right? Clapton was boring to watch. Doyle Bramwell didn't look like he wanted to be there, and Derek Trucks didn't move the whole night, right? But the thing I took away from that gig was how great Steve Jordan and Willie Weeks are on the rhythm section.
The best.
How great Derek Trucks can play. He's an absolute monster. It was just like.
See, I've seen Clapton a couple of times now, or 3 times I think altogether, and only one gig was like so, but the other 2 gigs, I remember seeing Clapton going like, "Wow, Derek is really pushing the 2 of them," and he really did. He played great as always, and Clapton was smiling watching Derek play. And when it was his turn to solo, he played on fire as well. And I think that's the only explanation I could have for putting somebody as great as Derek in your band, that it pushes you.
I think that at the end of I copped one of like the last shows in their run back then too, and I think they were visibly kind of beat down a bit. But you're right. I mean, Derek's one of those guys that, and that's the funny thing, right? Like, the Buddy Guy band in terms of profile isn't as big as Eric Clapton, right? I'm not saying musically he's not as good, but in terms of profile, they play like Clapton does arenas. Buddy Guy does, smaller venues. They're not tiny, but they're not a stadium band generally, right? I saw Buddy Guy about 2 months later, and it was like, walking into the friggin' best gig I've ever seen, you know, and it was just, the vibe was great. They all wanted to play. You can see that Buddy still loves playing guitar, irrespective of what people think of his guitar playing. I think he's, for his age and all that, he's doing great. His rhythm section was unbelievably good. Like, really nice guys too, you know, like they were cool guys. And it was like, wow, I took away from Buddy Guy's gig what I was hoping to get out of Eric Clapton's, which was inspiration to play, you know, wanting to see, you know, some dynamics and all that kind of stuff. The Buddy Guy band, man, just one of the tightest units I've ever heard next to Dr. John's band. His band was just like godly almost in terms of the funk. That was so good. Oh, hang on. Benjamin says he's going to see Papa Chubby in Grand Rapids, Michigan in July. I don't know if you guys know much about Papa Chubby, but he's a dude, man.
He's amazing. Wicked.
Yeah.
So we're actually like 14 minutes past 10:30. Are you guys good to go to 11, or do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. I'm good to go till the super chat hits $400.
You're a shocker, mate. I was going to grab an album here. I saw it before, but I can't find it now. So here you go. You want to listen to a good, if you don't know who this guy is, he's on my blues wall. Go check out
Bon Jovi.
Dr. John. You can listen to Bon Jovi as well, but this album here, if you're going to go to listen, if you've never heard of Dr. John, you want to hear what he does, this is Duke Ellington sort of like tribute album done New Orleans funky. This thing is one of the best albums of all time, man. And his band is just killer. So I remember when I went to see him with my friend Neil, one of the guys, I think on stage, his only pedal was a wah, and he had a Fender Twin. So you can imagine how loud he was. Yeah, it was brutal, but it was awesome.
Yeah, Dr. John is, you know, like the keyboard player is a natural enemy to the guitarist. So, but I listened, that New Orleans groove, there's nothing like it, is there? It's the best. It's just so cool, and there's space in it, and it's sort of laid back and just a little bit behind the beat. It's really, it's great. So, yeah, definitely +1 for Dr. John. And also, yeah, I saw Buddy Guy on a Wednesday night, and then a Thursday night I went to Joe Bonamassa. And Buddy Guy, when he came out on stage, he was wearing it was like a tracksuit. It was this sort of blue sort of I don't know how you even describe it. It's
like a onesie, basically.
Yeah, like a onesie, and with a cool hat, and 2 bassmen, and his Strat, and I finally got it that night, because I must admit, before I'd seen him live, I thought, it's a bit of scratchy tone, and he bends out of tune and whatnot. I always thought his singing was unbelievable, but that night it was like it was an epiphany. It was a penny dropping. I finally got what it was about. He just walked out into the audience, this huge Cheshire Cat smile, and he really wanted to be there and wanted everyone to be in the moment. There was not one person with their mobile phone watching through the little screen. They were we were right there with him in that moment, and that's when I realised that's what it's all about.
He does it for the love of playing, and it visibly shows. And I felt exactly the same watching Chris Kane. For me, that was a religious experience watching him play. He wouldn't have done anything else with his time. He wanted to be there. He put on a killer show, and these guys have showmanship. They're not just doing another show and they're over it. That's what they enjoy. We had a question here from Pearl and Guitarist. He says, I just picked up a Marshall DSL 40C from Sweetwater. Good stuff.
Ooh.
A couple of weeks ago for $399. Oh, my God, it's so much cheaper. The new 40 CR2 is $799. Oh, so he bought maybe the old one. How much better is the CR2? I'm loving the 40C. Oh, hang on a second. Let me just double check. 40 CR2 Marshall. The one that I've got is a CR. I don't know if the CR2 is actually a model. So you might be confused. I'm not sure if you're asking me possibly about the 20, but okay. So are they You know what? I'm not 100% certain. The question might not make sense. So if you bought a Marshall DSL-C, which was an older version, the new ones have a different EQ stack. The gain's different. They took a little bit of the fizz out of it as well. So there's a few things about it that I think they fixed. And from what I understand, looking at, I can't remember it might have been Fuchs put up a video about the older amps having some issue with, maybe not your version, but older, like many generations ago. They had an issue with the power transformers at some point. I'm pretty sure all of that's been ironed out. So it might be a reliability thing that's also been solved, but I don't know. All I know is I could never get the sound I got out of mine in a really old one. So not like an English-made one, but I tried the older Indonesian ones and loaded with a 7080 speaker as well. So the other thing could be that the speaker's different. The new ones have the Celestion, so it's a much bigger sound. Unless I missed something there, Rick. I know you know a bit about these as well.
Marshalls usually use Celestions, but I must admit one hasn't been on my radar for a little while. Although having played that JDM 45, that might change.
You know what? When you played the DSL 40, man, it sounded so good. I'll cover up the Made in Vietnam sticker. Put a little Made in the UK on there. Just. I'll charge.
Yeah.
How about this? I'll buy one for you, and then you can pay me double if it makes you feel better. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds like a good deal. Please,
then it'll
folks,
be a
please, super chat. He desperate for money.
Someone just said, "Okay, who declicked my bell?" Let's pretend you guys just started. So yeah, I don't know what the deal is, but if you want to be informed of any live streams, click the bell. If it's not working, click it twice, and it'll turn back on.
Yeah.
So.
Benjamin Cardenas has asked about Tab Benoit, Danny Bryan, Paul Rose, Leia Del Saldi.
Tab Benoit.
Tab Benoit's pretty cool. He's another New Orleans guy, isn't he? He plays a thin line telly.
Yeah.
He's a great singer.
Great singer.
He does a lot of blues too.
Yeah, he's really cool, a good feel. And Danny Bryan's an English guy who I think he's sort of a blues guy like Walter Trout. Have you heard Walter Trout?
Wow. Yeah. I've been listening to him a lot lately.
Yeah, tear your head off. He's and he's survived. I think he's had a liver transplant and he's still going and he's got a pretty savage tone. And Lady El Stabby, I don't think I've heard of him, but certainly those first two, great. There's a lot of really good guys to keeping the blues alive and vital, and it's grouse.
We've got a few guys talking about Prince as a guitar player. I mean, he's just unbelievable. Even solo acoustic, he kills it. His solo to While My Guitar Gently Weeps that was done, I don't know how long ago now, but it's him and Tom Petty and a whole other bunch of guys jamming out. And right at the end, he just throws his guitar up in the air and it disappears. Have you seen that?
Yeah. I think I was reading a story about that. Apparently he was meant to do, I may be wrong, but apparently he was meant to do that solo and the other guitar did the first solo. And so he got fired up and did that solo like, okay, you want to play first? Okay. All right. And apparently he's really competitive. So but that solo is just, oh man.
Killed it. Just killed it.
Yeah.
Someone says there's a really big huntsman crawling up behind you, Rick.
Oh, really?
Is there?
I don't know if is it Kurt that said that? I can't remember. It might have moved, but someone said, I don't know if they're just stirring you or not, but someone said that to me, mate. I'd be grabbing the big can of, actually, I'd try and get it outside, but I don't like spiders.
Yeah, well, I don't mind if it's, as long as it buys me dinner first before it jumps on me. I'm not a problem. But no, that's all good.
All right, guys, we've got about 5 or so minutes left, about 7 minutes. So if anyone has any last minute questions or if I missed your question, just type it in again and we'll get to it.
Yeah, Super Bowl with Prince, that was crazy. It was pouring rain.
Yeah.
And he just he went out and absolutely slayed. He was just brilliant. He's so good. It's such a terrible, tragic waste to have lost him to what's going to be a misuse of prescription drugs. It's unbelievable tragedy. But he's really, really, really great.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Eric Gale, unbelievable. Keith Fletcher, Gary Clark Jr., man. Preacher's brother. That's from
Josh Smith.
Yeah, Josh Smith. Yeah,
Matt Schofield.
Shandy Oreo Band.
Shandy Oreo.
Shandy Oreo Band. That these are the people.
George from Montano.
He's an interesting. Yeah, he's an interesting. What is that noise? Is that you?
Sorry,
Right. That's all right. 6 in line, 3 aside says, I remember seeing BB King open for U2. U2 sucked after that show. This is the thing. And like people think, like I actually like U2, right? I'm a closet U2 fan. I have been for a long time. But when you hear someone like BB King spill his soul out over the vocal microphone, and as great as Bono could sing in the, I guess, 80s, maybe when Rattle and Hum came out, or was it 80s?
Yeah, 80s. That's
a great album vocally, right? It's one of my favorites. And him and BB King are great together. But BB King, man, that's back in the day, his voice was pretty, him and Freddie King, like just unbelievable. And a lot of the guys, actually, there was a million guys that could sing, but BB was just, and he had the brass section and like there's a real showman right there.
Yeah. Did you go to that gig?
No, I just, from what I've got the DVDs and stuff.
Yeah, no, I went to the gig and I almost went home after BB because
wow,
it was amazing. And he had his Lucille guitar and a Fender Twin just turned up loud and the brass, and it was like going to church, man. It was like that preacher at the Royal Wedding on the weekend. It was just a sort of transcendent experience. It was grouse. BB was so cool. Oh, someone just super chatted.
Hey,
Benjamin.
Jeez, it's working.
Folks, be like Benjamin. Thank you, Benjamin. Really appreciate your support, mate.
He says, listening prescription for today, Rory Gallagher photo finish album. All right, I'll copy it and check it. That's one guy I don't know enough about. I get asked a lot about Rory Gallagher, and I'm always like, I haven't listened to much, but I'll make a note and I'll store it in my note thing.
Absolutely savage. Just raw tones into an AC30, turned up to 10, and just very, very full on intense.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the super chat, man. I appreciate that. So, many thanks.
Just to quickly go back to like BB King, I don't know if I'm wrong to say this, but I find BB was so sophisticated when he played.
Back in the day, he was.
Back in the day,
yeah.
He was, and I don't know if he knew that he was cutting the changes as well, but he was, everything he played was just right for the chord. And there's a great little instructional thing that he did, and he was just explaining what he does.
Yeah,
this guy was it Matt Schofield?
John Schofield, maybe, or one of them. Yeah, is it John Schofield? I always get them confused, but yeah, it's.
But it's really cool because he was sort of, the guy was just playing chords for him, and he was soloing, and he was saying, this is what I'm talking about. I'm trying to say this to her, and I'm doing this, and I'm telling her this. And you could actually hear it like in his playing, and it was amazing.
Yeah, totally. Like, I think it's John Schofield. I'm pretty sure it's him. I could be wrong. It's either him or he's another one of those West Coast sort of jazz dudes. Anyway, or the jazz blues fusion guys. I can't remember who's the other guy that.
Larry Cole.
Yeah, I think it could be him actually.
Okay.
Playing with BB, and it's a great lesson. Just it's on YouTube still. Dylan used the super chat as well. Thanks for that, dude. It says making Rick happy.
Dylan.
I don't want to turn this into a super chat e-begging session either. So thank you. We appreciate it.
We promised to donate it all to charity.
Yeah.
And buy Rick another custom shop guitar charity.
No, it all goes back into the channel in some ways. So cheers.
Yeah.
Even if I stiff the other two guys, that no.
And sorry, I know we're running short on time, but if any one of you guys has not listened to Eric Gales, please check him out. I think he's one of the best guitar players on the planet at the moment. I just saw him live at the Blues Fest, and Blues Fest was great. There were so many great acts, but he was the best act. It was unreal. It was like I've been playing guitar for close to 20 years now, but after watching him, it just made me go, maybe I should play piano. This guy is, oh man, he's just
one of the critical things about Eric Gale. Sorry to cut you off. He's a left-hander, but he plays upside down right-handed guitar like Albert King used to. So
yeah. Oh man, he's amazing.
Now you know how we feel when you play with us.
Yeah. See, there you go. It all comes back around. You make us want to quit.
Yeah, what? No, as if. No, he's you guys need to check him out. And there's a couple of videos of him playing with Eric Johnson, and you see the guy just not be intimidated and give back, and it's great. It's just watching two masters play guitar. Yeah. There's also one of him and who's that funny dude that plays a telly? Yes. No, the Greg Koch. Yeah. So Eric Gales and Greg Koch, and it's amazing. Like just two guys that know their instrument in and out, just playing guitar, and it's just just amazing.
We have a fellow friend in the chat here. This might be the last question. This is from Neil, aka Stop No Names. The Neil we know, Rick. From the jams. We were talking about your delay pedal earlier, mate. He says, "Hey, good stuff, guys. What about Vernon Reid? Or what about Vernon Reid? Sorry, I don't know Vernon Reid.
Living Colour.
Oh, okay.
No personality and love his ugly head. Look.
Okay.
I went and saw them live quite a few years ago, and I'll put up my hand right now and say, loved the rhythm section, loved the lead singer Corey, someone. I couldn't get Vernon. This blizzard of notes through a highly processed rack thing.
Yeah.
Just didn't get it, but absolutely ignorant of that sort of style and what sort of makes it good. But the drummer and the bass guy, Doug Wimbish, and the singer was just like, wow, that was worth the ticket. And Vernon's sound was, it's I don't quite get it, but it must be very highbrow and very sort of jazz and whatnot, but didn't get it. And that's my take on it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, that brings us up to the 2-hour mark. How about that for time flying, huh?
Yeah. Super chat for another half hour.
No. We don't need that. We just appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, just subscribe and click the bell. Rick's embarrassing me over here. So don't forget to like the video too, guys. I appreciate that. I know the majority of the people here already have. So thanks for that. And we do these from time to time. Usually, whenever sort of works for all of us. So we'll come back and we'll do another one of these coming up soon. It's good fun to actually chat about music and stuff as well as gear and all that kind of thing too. I think you always find out about somebody even from the chat that you didn't know about before or something like that. So have a great night and stay on the line here, guys. And I wanted just to thank Sonia for dropping in, Lando before as well. They're both the mods for the chat. Thanks for everyone who used the super chat as well. Dylan, appreciate it. Benjamin, I'm not sure if I can find any further up than that, but thanks to everyone who did use that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we have more content coming up on the way. If you want to watch this back, it'll be stored on YouTube in about 20 minutes or so. So, or about 10 minutes. I don't know how long it'll take, but we'll catch you later on.
Awesome. Thanks for your company.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah.